Really, the donors run the Nutnfancy project at this point. If they like a certain format, if they like certain content, I do more of it. It's got to be that way. Yeah, it's got to be that way. They're the reason I'm still doing the Nutnfancy project. I work very hard serving my donors and giving them high value for the few bucks per month they are gracious enough to give me. And I say that because this is not going to be an SF video. I said SF. And in TNP, at least, it stands for short format. Short format. No, not special forces. That's outside of TNP. This SF is short format. And here's what it is. It's where I just talk about the item, and that's it. And we have a good time. They're fun. But it's laser beam focused on the item. We don't, like, this is a knife review, obviously. We don't talk about watches. We don't talk about patches. We don't talk about what's on the table. In this case, a Thunderbolt 2 Warthog. No, we don't do that. We ignore all that, and we just talk about the item. No competitive options. We wrap up the video, usually 10 minutes or less if it's a watch or knife. A gun, very hard to do that. You're looking at probably 20 minutes, maybe 15 minutes if I'm really fast or less. I have slipped some into the flow. You may have noticed. They are SF videos, short format. And I said the donors run the preferences in the project. And so if the donors like the SF, I'll do more of them. If there's a rebellion against short format, I'll do more longer format, which this one's going to be. We're going to talk about some fun stuff. I kind of think guys like longer format in the donor environment. In the general YouTube environment, if I look at my viewership for a video, let's say it's 40 minutes on a gun, it goes like this, and then right about the 5-minute point, 7-minute point, I don't blame them, by the way, I'm so boring. It dives, it nosedives, and people abandon the video. So I ask myself, why am I going to all that work? Just say what you got to say, wrap it up. Wrap it up. It really depends on the donor zone. So this is the first video. I've addressed that. Here we are at 2 minutes, 15 seconds. There you go. This is long format. Well, adequate format. I don't try to make a video long ever. It's got to be fun, interesting, and press along at high speed. It pretty much will. Now we have time to talk about patches. That's my old T38 Ace patch. I think this patch comes from my T38 squadron when I was getting trained in the Talon. The 87th Flight Training Squadron. Doubles. Yeah, I think that might be my 37 patch. I get them mixed up. It's been so long since I've been there. And then we got a Thunderbolt 2 on the table, 1/100 scale, loaded up with an insane amount of ordnance. An unrealistic loadout. There's no way an A10 would take off with that much stuff, but it sure is fun. Fun for the tabletop. This is a die-cast aircraft, so coming out of the Aviation Museum. Thanks to Charles New, TNP donor. Good friend. Thank you, Charles, for sending me this. So you thought it'd be cool on tabletop, and you're absolutely right. It pairs up nicely with the Thunderbolt, little streamer for your keys. And then we have an Alpina C-Strong programmed by myself. You have not seen this dive watch yet. It's from the brand Alpina. Swiss made, beautiful watch, quartz, not auto. If it was auto, it'd be around $500. Hands came hollow. I did not like those. And in the review, when you watch that, I can't remember if that's an SF video or not. I think it might be. I showed you how the hands came shiny and hollow, and they sucked. Well, that's a little strong. They didn't suck, but so much better now. Look at how awesome they are. I taped those. It's actually taped hands right there. And then I signed the case back. And then my daily watch, everybody always says, hey, dude, every tabletop you need to show what your daily watch is. Here you go. It's a Casio Edifice. You have not seen this one before. Review coming up soon. EQS 800, solar powered, not connected to your phone like some of the EQ watches by Casio. Oris style hands. I love the hands on this. This has not been programmed. Solar powered. You press the lower right button. It'll tell you your charge level. Carbon fiber woven face. Super affordable. It's, dude, I'll say a price around $150 with a metal bracelet, hollow link, which I prefer. Watch for that WRV. There you go. And here we are. Speaking of long format, that's almost 5 minutes, and we're just getting started here. On the table, by the way, is my original Emerson CQC8 tactical folder. I reviewed this like in 2008 or 2009 in the project. I had it re-edged because it came with that stupid, hate these chisel grinds. Yeah, I don't care what anybody says. I've always ranted against chisel grinds. I will never change that. And so now it has a conventional grind on it. Now it's awesome. I have carried this for years. Lately, last couple years, not so much because it's just been in the case and I've been carrying other knives that need airtime, so I'm just testing them. But it's going to be on the table because it's good to see the genuine article, an Earnie Emerson designed CQC8, albeit re-edged, black G10, 154s of steel, thumb disc, and then we have the very, at the time, innovative wave feature, patented, as you can see, by Mr. Emerson. And when that came out, it was groundbreaking. We visited with Ernie there in the booth, SHOT Show. Great reviews. You might dig those out of the archives, Nutnfancy project. We talk about knives, and he and I got along great. I mean, I could tell just by talking to him, we saw things the same a lot, like everything. Knife making, steel choices, designs, wave feature, politics. We bonded. Yeah, good dude. Love that guy. Anyways, he's got some good knives too. They're relatively expensive if you go with the genuine article. I have reviewed Emerson knives, several of their models through the years. Again, you could probably just go in the YouTube tagline and just type out Nutnfancy Emerson knives, and you may see that come up if you want to do that. Now, this review is actually going to be a 4 for 1 KRV. Value for your money. That's right, 4. And we're going to look at the Kershaw Emerson collaboration that is basically this knife with some design changes, different steels. These, by the way, have been out in the market for a long time. They're not new. I'm just late getting to it, so sorry. In fact, I recommend, and I'm being serious on this, guys, I recommend that you pause the video right now and just buy your favorite version because that's how quickly they're going to sell. At Blade HQ's sale prices, they're going to be gone quick. I'm warning you. I'm not messing around. They're selling them out for cheap. Now, some models are not on sale, but they're priced at like $52. It's like inexpensive. Better than several $100s. Just a word to the wise, because I'm going to give a very positive review to these knives. I apologize for getting the KRV on this model out so late. I think the production has ended. Yeah, it's ended. Hey, great timing on that, Nutnfancy. Thanks. Yeah, now you have to rush to buy it. Thanks to my timing. But you know the story here in the project, dude. It's so much content. Insert standard excuse. There's a reason for it. I mean, it's not just knives. It's everything. So I have 4 versions to show you. They're the CQC Kershaw Emerson collaborations. I like, maybe even love some of them. Every single one of them is recommended. I'm going to show you my top recommended choice. I do have a negative thing to say about one of them after my cutting tests. I'm always honest, and I'll just tell you what happens. It's minor. It's really not a showstopper, so don't think, oh my gosh, it totally broke. No, it didn't. The first thing I'm going to show you, or the first version, is a CQC11K in olive drab. The steel is 8CR 14 MOV. Right here, y'all. Good looking knife, right? There's my standard skateboard tape application. Yeah, this is awesome. For the 4 for 1 KRV, by the way, going back to what I was saying about SF vids, there's no way I could do it. I can't do justice to 4 different versions of this knife in 10 minutes. Impossible. There's no way. No way. So there's a CQC11K. If I get the numbers screwed up, I apologize. And that one is number 6030. Right there. 6030. And here comes a 6034 CQC in black clip blade. Yep, and that one is actually a CQC6K. So we have like 2 names per. And then I have this one. This is super cool. And you might detect it's my favorite version. It's because it more mimics the CQC8, this one right here. And it's going to be the CQC11K. This one in D2 steel. Ooh, that was a good deployment. Right there, dudes. Look at that. Cool. Cool. You said 4, Nutnfancy. I see 3 knives, not counting your original Emerson. You're right. I'm going to roll the fourth one on when we get to, I don't know, other things. So I'm going to recommend every single one of these blades. So if you're one of these guys that's going to abandon the video right now, I'll just go ahead and tell you. Favorite version, this is very close to it, but this is my favorite, very close second, and probably my number 3 version if you're going to buy. Now, let's look at the steels. And most of these are super affordable, and that was the big upside in this collaboration. And again, they've been out for years. I'm not saying they're new. And they did a lot of publicity. Emerson did, Kershaw did, and they said, hey, listen, this is going to be an affordable way for you to get into a waveable tactical blade, EDC blade, maybe a hunting blade like this, but you're not going to spend several $100s on it. And by the way, still recommend the genuine Emersons. I absolutely do. It's just cool owning the original, whether it's a Casio watch, versus a Smales. I love the Smales, but nothing like the genuine article. But this is a great way to expand your high-value knife collection. These right here. So I'm saying 1, very close to it as well, and then 3rd. I still like this one, but this one I love. I love. Steels. So this one is in D2. I would probably recommend you get D2 in this just so it's a little more special. You guys know I love 8CR. In this case, it's 14, pretty close to 13 MOV steel. It's very excellent. It wears well. This one's an 8CR14. This one's 8CR14. The other ones I want to show you in the same steel. I love them. You got to watch the rust on them. They're easy to sharpen. They take a very fine edge. All the edges, by the way, out of box are fantastic. They're just superb. And you're going to see some cutting tests somewhere along the way of the CQC11. And by the way, that is the 8CR14 MOV, not this D2 version, because I wanted to just show you that even in that so-called lesser steel, it's a slicer. It's a slicer and a dicer. Yeah, dude. Yeah, so the steel, this D2 would probably be in a, you see I engraved it right here, D2. That's to remind me because it looks just like the other version. It's my top recommended one, even though it's a little bit more. But for $50, what is BHQ selling it for? Like $52 now? No brainer. No brainer. Compared to the original? I mean, this steel that they're using in these Taiwanese produced blades, is that where these are made? Taiwan, wherever the hell they're made. No, Chinese. Yeah, Kershaw puts them in China. So these are Chinese produced blades. That's going to cut as good as this one, if not better. These two steels right here, D2, dude, it'll outperform that one. The original. Yeah. Granted, this is an older Emerson, like 2005. You can see the date code on it. Yeah, so D2, awesome choice. Let's look at the finishing on this one. Nice stone washing on that. I think it's even better on this 10K. It's really cool. And this is 8CR14 10K. See it labeled there? Gray's really nice. Look how cool that engraves, man. That's sick. Beautiful tumbling finish on that. I really like that finish. Really, it's better than this one on the D2, but that's a quality of the steel, I think. 8CR, I mean, just takes that tumbled finish so nicely. Love this clip blade. You know I love clip blades. They're just so functional in so many different applications. Fantastic. Both of them, of course, feature the thumb disc, just like the original does. So you can deploy it whether you're a righty or a lefty. Identical. It's removable for sharpening purposes. It has a nice flat for a consistent angle sharpener like Edge Pro Apex. Look at that right there. I think they saved money on these blades by pressure forming them instead of grinding them. I could be off on that. Because if you look at this one, it looks like it's pressure formed. That one too, this one. I think that's a money saver. Functionally speaking, it will not make a difference. It's just kind of a second cool thing, the way I look at it, and that's all it is, my opinion. So those are steels. And don't shy away from 8CR14. I love it too. And those are super affordable. They're selling for like $30 when I pop this video. Again, pause the video, buy them. I talked to Jake at Blade HQ, and he's like, yeah, we don't have that many of them. Do you really want to do a review? I was like, yeah, I love the knife. He's like, well, they're going to sell out quick. I'm like, sorry. Yeah, it's like, can you get more? He's like, ooh, let me check. Click, click, click. Click, click, click. Nope, can't get any more. I'm like, okay. Still doing it. Yeah, better late than never. Now, that's one cool thing about it. So the blade shape, I love the clip. I like this Persian influenced blade shape. The same thing I said back in 2008 on the CQC8, the upsweep, the belly. But notice that on this Kershaw collaboration, it's even more upswept, more aggressive. There's a difference in the grind. You can see the swedge portion there has a different facet on it. This steel is 0.12 in thickness, and then on the 10K it's 0.11, so it's really perfect. It's just perfect. Follows the original very closely. Love the blade shapes. I just love them. They're functional, great slicer. I would say a great tactical blade, emergency defensive tool. As far as a piercing knife, I think the clip is a lot better. And I just showed you this one, but I really love the clip variation. This one too. Got to give some love to, what is this again? The CQC11K. Black coated. Good looking blade. Good looking blade. Now, okay, so that's the steels. That's my preference. I would go D2 first just because the knives are going out of production. Will they come back? Probably not. D2, if you ever want to sell it, will sell better than the 8CR. A little bit more special. We see that across the line in blades. But 8CR 14 even, great choice. Another big feature of these knives, obviously, is the wave feature. I mean, honestly, these days, I've said this in so many KRVs, I do not generally carry a knife that's not waveable from pocket. So here's a grip, Benchmade grip. I got the zip tie in it. Yeah, I just like hooking it from the pocket. Look, here's another example. Here's the Domino, 2013 Spyderco Domino. I got double zip ties in it. It looks a little bit goofy, but I like practicalities, you know, grabbing it onto the pocket and just deploying it. With this, it's built in. You don't have to zip tie it. It's the way Ernie designed it, dude. Right there. So you just hook it on your pocket, works great. So here you get basically an auto-deploying knife, 30 bucks, if you go with the 8CR14. And another huge upside to these knives, the thickness. They're super thin. Now, there's a downside to that. I'm going to get to in a second. Like, if we compare it against this one, the original CQC8, it's got G10 scales on it, framed construction, still a liner lock, but it's thicker. Not heavier, but thicker. The downside, I'll get to it now, is that it's a stainless steel frame lock, not a titanium. That's going to add weight. It is what it is. You guys know I like lightweight knives, but what do I always say? That's right. If I get a really great blade, a great design, in this case, great blade shape, good steel, looks cool, really cool actually, and it's super thin, I can forgive the weight. So these are going to run about 5.6 ounces, this version. This one here, the 6K, is going to be a little bit lighter at 5.2 ounces. This one's going to be right at 5.6 as well. The manufacturer says 5.8 ounces. That's a little bit portly. It's a little bit portly against the competition I throw on the table. I'll be honest. But it's a 3.5 inch blade in this version. In the 6K, this one right here, the clip, blackened clip, that's a 3.25 inch blade. So yeah, the thinness is fantastic. So these disappear in the pocket. They don't bump around. We'll get to the clip right now. Not super deep carry. But in this design, I don't really care. It's weird because I've been carrying around the other version you'll see in a second for several days, and it's fine. It's just, you just have this little portion sticking out, and you can, swap the clip. Again, a great ambidextrous knife right here for lefties. You can put it over on the other side. It carries tip up, thankfully. Awesome. Not necessarily a deep carry clip, so I'll classify that as kind of a miss. I like deep carry, you know that. I mean, look what I did on my Griptilian. Yeah, I put a Lynch deep carry on it, dude. So that's what I'm talking about. I like these. As long as I can get out of pocket. And then if it has bad traction, I'll put a JB Weld modification right here, which I did, and I'm grip tape on there. Man, I love Griptilians. Still, they're so cool. Love that knife. I've bought this knife in like 2006, I think, before the Nutnfancy project. At least before I started posting knife reviews. So thin, good clip. How's it feel in hand? I'll start with the 11K, which is the 6031. Great. Great. Notice the protection you got with the guard here. And then you've got a nice thumb ramp, albeit it's not really jimped per se. It's got kind of some texturing there, and it's taking it off the original. The original was that way. I talked about that in that ancient review. So you actually have some pretty good traction. Again, I'm going to classify this and put it in the playlist of tactical folders. Absolutely. This one, a little bit smaller. And it's weird, this 6K feels heavier than it is because it's a smaller knife. Like you pick up these two and you handle them, you go, yeah, that doesn't feel that heavy. And you pick up this one, and you're like, oh, that feels kind of heavy. Weird. It's just a weird dynamic. Thumb disc, quick deploy, black G10 on this, medium traction. I would call it low traction on these brown versions, which I love the brown, the olive drab. Let me check that olive drab. Yeah, low traction on that one. But that's an outgrowth of it being a Chinese produced blade. For some reason, the G10 they used on this one just has a little more traction on it. We have a standard slotted screw head, single-sided if you want to play around and screw up your centering. There's a centering on this version. Something tells me as time goes on, these are probably going to uncenter on you. But for now, out of box, they're pretty close right there. You don't have a lot of space in there. Not too much space. Again, you can deploy it with a thumb disc, ambidextrous. I got to do it up here, otherwise I'm going to take Mr. A10 out. Lock that right there. You can shake it out. D10 is really perfect on these, I think. I think the D10 is just about right. It's definitely not going to, open in your pocket, I don't think. Lock up on these as they come from box, really good. Look at the timing though. I would classify the lock bar timing on these stainless steel frame locks as a little bit late. I wish it was earlier. That way it would wear in. And by that, how deep that lock bar goes. I'm going to show you, the other version here in a second. You'll see my criticism. I wish they would have skeletonized this side right here. That would have been nice, but that would have been another machining operation. It would have lightened it up a little bit. Flow through design. There's your standoffs on the CQC11. I guess you could say, well, if they didn't skeletonize this side, at least it kind of bounces out since this is full stainless steel frame lock. Stop pin down there. Phosphor bronze bushings are in there. This is not a roller bearing pivot. I sure like this olive drab too. Really cool. And yeah, I put double skateboard on it. It just really comes out of pocket super quick. You wave it. It's like an auto knife. Auto knife for like 30 bucks. Timing on this one's better. Look at that. That's perfect right there. Yeah, that's ideal. On the 10K, nice. The 60-30, it gets it right. And I really like that G10. It just looks cool. And the frosted stainless. This is probably the best looking knife on the table. This one right here. The brown is going to be a close second. And there might be some other colors that I don't know were even made. Now we go into my criticism. So maybe you've been seeing the cutting tests. And it was actually not done by the D2 version, but like I said, by the 8CR14 version. Here it comes. And I'll say, yeah, it looks just like this one, doesn't it? I have to label it so I don't get them confused. Two different steels, though. This is 8CR14 MOV. This is D2. Notice again the different finishing that each steel takes, even though they went through the same process. The one on the bottom is preferred. Here we are at 23 minutes. Long form KRV. Good time, though. Good time. You didn't know that time had passed, had you? So I reminded you. Cutting went great on this. I think it slices wicked well. Really good. Even though I shouldn't say even though, it's hollow ground from the flat down to get to the primary edge. Really good slicer. I didn't cut up like 15 boxes with it. Just one big box, enough to get a feel for it. I cross-cut the corrugation. Did great. Now, it's definitely going to dull. It's no miracle steel, and if I had done another box, it probably would have been dragging. I did some stabbing tests with it. Yeah, with this upswept Persian-influenced CQC11K, and it did better than I thought it would, to be honest. But the downside is after I did it, I always do this, I test the lock, because that's kind of a test on the lock, and it's not a big deal, but I do have some play in this. Look, after my stabbing test. Wah, wah. Now, that is an outgrowth of the late timing on these 11Ks. If it had been earlier timing, I think it would have worn just fine, but for whatever reason, it just created a little bit of play. Could I still use a knife as is? You bet. But I don't know if you would use these for like hard stabbing tasks. Just be advised. And stainless steel frame locks are not my favorite. I'd rather have a titanium frame lock with a steel insert in it. I've said that many times. And I'll stick with that. I really would. But it's low cost, so I can put up with it. And there's been some like the Razzle by CRKT that I love. That's a frame lock. This one's going back to Kershaw, and I'm just going to get it replaced. And by the way, they've been great. Their warranty work, it's like Benchmade, it's like Spyderco, they're Cold Steel, they're all really good. They're like, oh, you got a problem? Here's a new knife. Yeah, I'll sign it again. Hold on, they hate me though. If they see that sign, they'll go, oh, this Nutnfancy douche. Maybe we will not replace it. Yeah, I've said some negative things against Kershaw. Once upon a year, they didn't like me so much. I don't get these knives from them. I'm not connected to the manufacturers. That's right, fully independent. Only belong to my donors and viewers. Thank you very much. So this is, again, the 8CR14 MOV version. Just a little bit of play there. Still deploys really nice. Side to side, didn't move at all. Let's check the centering after stabbing test, cutting test. It's fine. That's fine. I love this knife. Yeah. Tell and comment which one you're going to get. Are you going to get the D2 or are you just going to go with the 8CR14? I know a lot of you guys have a ton of experience, TNPRs who've been with the show the whole time with that steel. I know you love it just as much as I do. Let me know. I'll just be curious to know what your preferences are. Do you guys remember this? Speaking of Kershaw, the freaking Tremor. Yeah, 6.2 ounces, bro. Check that out. Long discontinued. This is an 8CR blade. 13 MOV, same stonewash finish. We'll put it up against the CQC. Look, that CQC is a big knife, dudes. This is what I'm saying. This is a big knife. Remember how I raved about how big this was when I posted a review many years ago? Look, this is basically the same blade. It's a big knife. What else do I have on tabletop for? Oh, I have this, dude. I'll show you the Spyderco Street Beat. Just as a comparison. I love this knife, by the way. Good size comparison. And then my EDC knife. I know I said I only carry waveable knives from Pocket, but I changed it up today. How about an original Flash 2? What? That's right, original Flash 2 against that one. Little size comparison. Here we are at 27 minutes. Long form KRV. Long form. Hey, Nutnfancy, I'll tell you right now, I kind of like the longer videos, so yeah, there's my vote. I know the donors are going to say that. I don't know, but I suspect they're like, yeah, dude, don't do 7-minute videos. No. For me as a video consumer, I hate short videos because that means I got to go find something else to watch after a 5-minute video. It's not even worth it. But I told you the reasons. There you go. Buy now. Buy them quick. Again, there's some other variations. I'll put them in links below. They're affiliate links. I'll make like 2.7 cents per click. And guess what I do? That's right. I go buy more knives to review. No one gives me these knives. I purchase them. I'm not connected to Kershaw. Not connected to Emerson. Not connected to Alpina. Completely independent. If you have not done so already, please go to YouTube Nutnfancy account and subscribe there. That's right. In fact, this video is going to cut off abruptly in YouTube general, and you're going to have to go to YouTube to watch the other half. I'm going to start doing that more. Donors watch the whole thing. They don't have to fool around with that stuff. So if you don't want to fool around, don't ever want to watch with ads, be a donor. And you'll see it posted in my donation environment. That's a game plan. Thank you so much. Knives are cool. I'm still super duper stoked on them. I can't believe it. What a dork. But dude, I love it. It's just fun. Gives us some fun in our lives. Great job on this collaboration. It's kind of sad it's going away. Maybe they come out with it again. And there's some other variations that I'm not hitting in this tabletop Nutnfancy.